In a world in crisis, can three idiots find hope in the darkest of places? Will love conquer all, or will hate win out in the end? This is a show called Hate.
Well, hello, and welcome to A Show Called Hate, a podcast in which we explore love, hate, and everything in between in search of greater meaning and perhaps a little perspective. I'm John.
I'm Nick.
I'm Chris.
Oh,
Howitzer.
We're back.
The boys are back.
We're back for a high-energy, healthy episode.
High energy Sunday afternoon episode.
Yeah, that's optimistic to say high energy at the beginning of the episode as well. Like, I think if after the episode it has turned out to be high energy, I think we can say that with glorious retrospect.
We'll let you be the judge of what high energy actually is.
You've set a high bar now.
I just want people to have the mystery of knowing that of the three of us, one is very hungover, one is recovering from a debilitating migraine, and the other is pretty much okay. Try to guess which one. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Your time starts now.
I reckon that would be quite easy to guess.
I think the hangover is quite easy to guess.
Yeah, thank you. Oh no, I've given it away.
I think the important thing to remember is that when we met yesterday, Chris Ray and I, for a respectful, socially distant drink,
just to wet your whistle, really,
in a beer garden.
Oh my god!
And to like lick each other's hands.
Yes, as always.
You know, it's a popular way of saying hello.
Yeah, for the endearing colloquialism.
After I think 4 pints, I was like, I think I'm going to go home now because I'd maybe like to, kind of, enjoy a bit of the day. Not passed out. I'd like to get a couple of things done. Have
it was very unreasonable of you, actually.
Yes, I'm very sorry. No, you stayed out, didn't you, Chris?
I went to somebody's house to watch the FA Cup final, and then I went back into town until the small hours.
Already the final. It's already the final.
It's already and yet finally the final.
Well,
at the same time.
For me, it feels too soon. But anyway, please continue.
And then, yes, I woke up on the sofa in the lounge at 4:00 this morning. So all in all, I'd say it was a very successful evening.
And yet, you've kind of like dragged yourself out. You've been doing stuff today, which
I took a while to get going this morning, if I'm honest. I had to be dragged out of bed, but then I de-weeded the driveway.
Good.
I did a food pickup in the garden,
leaning on a rake.
Yeah, I say I de-weeded it. I was literally leaning on the strimmer to support my weight.
That's really dangerous. Don't do that.
No, you really shouldn't. Don't try that at home.
We've got a strimmer for the garden, and I remember we went round to cut Lucy's uncle. We went round to.
Oh no!
You went to cut Lucy's uncle.
Oh, he knows what he did. Yeah, no, we went around to cut his garden, and I remember saying to Lucy, like, the thing about the strimmer is, don't worry, because it's got this really cool trigger. It's got like a double trigger, so you can't accidentally. You can't accidentally turn it on.
That sounds false.
And then Lucy like picks it up and it goes. I was like, oh dear. Oh no, wait, that's the lawnmower I'm thinking of. Yeah, this thing is a hair trigger. It will go off at any moment.
This one's got a psychic trigger that detects like your bloodlust, and it will just fire up the instant you want to kill. Yeah. And the power of that thing is powered purely by the amount of hatred you feel.
It's a very popular feature on the modern day streamers.
It's incredibly dangerous though.
I
wouldn't like, in all seriousness, I wouldn't like to get my finger caught on one of those with the wire underneath. That would bloody hurt.
I'm glad you clarified that by saying "in all seriousness," because
in all seriousness,
yeah, we've
got to be responsible at some juncture.
You had to frame that statement that maybe putting your fingers into a strimmer would be a bad thing to do.
Please do not try that, and if you do, please send us the photographs.
Oh God, no, don't though. Oh, that's an attachment.
I'd be interested to see, but don't do it.
No,
obviously.
Please don't. Don't do it.
The how have you been coping in the sudden and explosive heat we've experienced this week?
It's been hard to cope with. I'm always reluctant to complain about the heat, especially on a platform such as this, where more than 2 people are listening to what I'm saying. maybe. I wouldn't. Well,
Sometimes.
Okay,
On a good day.
more than one. Anyway, because I know that there are places that are hotter than the UK at its hottest. I get that. But I think what those people have to understand is that
I don't live there.
I don't live there.
Yeah,
Okay,
not my problem.
I don't
Not
care
my
about your
problem.
problems. We're talking about my problems. But also, I am not biologically set up for heat because I come from this awful, awful country. So when it comes as a horrible surprise, and it's been tough. It's been really hard.
Yeah, like, I guess this is maybe the world we have to get used to now. Like these sudden, unexplained heat waves. Like,
I think it's
How weird.
unfair that I was born into this planet tree warming, if you will, global warming. Let's
It's
call
unfair.
it. I've just coined that phrase. But let's.
Oh, okay. Let me write that down so I can trademark it.
I'm not good in the heat
no.
at
You,
all.
Gosh,
I
forsaken
burn,
heat.
and I just sort of am unable to do anything of any real substance in the heat. If I'm
Yeah.
totally honest.
yeah, I
So
think,
I don't think it's fair that I've been born into these times.
I feel like
Complain if you like.
give
Complain
me,
to Al Gore.
yeah, damn it,
He would listen. Al Gore would listen. He wouldn't be able to do
popular
anything
vote
about
my
it, but he
ass.
would listen.
I think, like, for me, the ideal, give me a crisp September afternoon with a strong breeze,
Oh, I like a breeze.
And
I do
maybe-
like a
Warm autumn
breeze.
day.
maybe 16 degrees in
Oh,
direct
now
sun.
now you're talking.
Oh, that's a dream. Yeah,
Ooh.
maybe
Ooh,
maybe
chef's kiss.
maybe wearing a light coat. You know,
Yeah,
like
oh, I
I
know.
see. Yes,
Like a light jacket, like
Like-
a bomber jacket, perhaps.
you could zip it up, but you've chosen not to.
yeah.
That's ideal for me. I think
That's spot on.
I'm in heaven. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah, I agree.
we went on my on our honeymoon when we went to New Zealand. We went to Hobbiton,
Oh,
where the
yeah.
old hobbits live, and it's
That's why it's called that.
That's
Well-
why it's called Hobbiton.
well, the crazy thing is, you're walking around and you go like, oh, this is just like the Shire. This is just like Gloucestershire, where I live back in England, and yet it is like 37 degrees, and
That's the big difference.
yeah, and it's not even like, it's not a wet heat. It's like a dry heat. It's like being in a microwave. Like you can just feel your skin crisping up. Like
Oh, nice.
it was punishing.
What
Like,
a
absolutely
feeling.
punishing. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
That's pleasant.
So when we're not talking about things that happened in the past, and when we're not talking about working from home,
Things that
sweating,
may or may not or have not happened.
we generally, because format is king, we generally talk about loves and hates.
Yes,
And
I remember.
who would like to get us started? Who's got their bile for the week?
I put 2 hands up.
You put 2 hands up, so you go. You
Oh,
deserve
yeah,
it
Nick-
more than
Nick's
I do.
got it,
Nick
yeah.
put 2 hands up, so you
Okay.
can go.
Okay.
So I've got a hate, but here's the weird thing about it is that I don't know why I hate this. So I'm gonna hopefully we can team think this,
Oh,
and we can all put our heads together and help me work out why this is something I hate. Right?
Okay.
Radio 1. I
Oh.
don't normally listen.
Full
No, it's
stop.
not Radio 1. It's not Radio 1 as a whole. Well, it could be actually, but no, it's not
youth.
Radio 1 as a whole. Those bastard youth, I don't understand them. I don't normally listen to it, but I happened to be listening to it the other day. And they've got this thing going at the moment, which I think has been going all of lockdown, where it's called Up Yours Corona.
Oh.
Right. And what they're trying to do is to get, I don't really know why this second bit is key, but what they're trying to do is they're going to get people from every country in the world to call in to the show.
Okay.
And then they talk to them a little bit, find out who they are, find out how the virus has affected their life, blah, blah, blah. All upbeat stories, I guess. I mean, as upbeat as you can be. And then at the end of the call, they have to yell, Up yours, Corona! And the whole idea is that eventually they will have collected up every country in the world swearing at and lambasting this virus, right? And it's not so much the world, all around the world thing. I don't have a problem with other countries. I don't want to make that clear. It's the attitude of shouting at a virus that really pisses me off, and I can't work out why. Because Ali said, "Oh, is it because it's pointless? Is it because it's not going to, like, the virus can't hear you?" And that's not what it is. That's not what annoys me about this. But something really pisses me off about shouting, "Up yours, Corona!"
Is it that energy could be better placed elsewhere?
It might be that. I was thinking that.
Like finding a vaccine, for example.
Maybe.
Rather than just shouting down the radio.
It might be like because it's like going like, now remember, people, a positive attitude can turn this whole thing around. Up yours, Corona, but please stay at home. Do not interact with people outside of your bubble, and wash your hands constantly.
And whatever you do, don't yell things into the street at passing people. Whatever you do, don't do that.
I feel, if anything, it's instilling a false sense of confidence, I feel.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I think that might be it. I think there's this sense of, like, if we all just get angry at it and shout, and we're all, like, united in how annoying it is, that we're somehow going to win.
Yeah.
And it's like, as much as the people who are shouting up yours corona aren't necessarily the same people who are working on a vaccine.
I would in fact hope they aren't.
But, you know, like, I still feel as though, like Chris said, there's potentially better use for that energy than yelling down the radio at everyone. It's just really irritating. Like, I know corona is a shit. Like, I know that. We all know that. But also, it isn't some sort of sentient shit that's, like, trying to fuck our lives up.
It was from that moment, and I also know that corona is a shit because of that World Health Organization summit where they stood up and said, "Well, we've got the results in. It's a bit of a shit."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
And then everyone applauds.
That puts it in context. I think.
Yeah.
I guess,
Alex right though, because it is completely pointless just shouting that at a virus.
I think it's childish.
Why?
I think it's really childish because you've got all these are ostensibly adults who are shouting this, you know, like rent payers and house owners are shouting down the phone, "Up yours, corona." And it's like, that's what I'd expect a load of kids to do in the playground, you know, to build a game around the coronavirus and then yell that at the end of a round of the game, whatever that consists of. But actually, that sounds pretty cool.
Remember as a kid when you used to play games on Zoom?
Do you remember as a kid when you used to play games themed around killer viruses that were taking out millions of people around the world? Do you remember that? But no, it just sort of is. It's just annoying. It's just that sort of kind of annoying. I don't know.
I guess the problem is, like, we've all seen how the sausage is made. You know, like because we've all been inside a marketing environment. Like,
yes.
maybe that's like, oh, you know, it's just positive. You know, they're just doing like a bit of just a little thing,
riling up.
Yeah,
But what's the point? You can be positive and it won't make any difference.
Yeah,
it won't.
I know, that's the horrible truth. I think you're right. Like,
I
could be really positive and say, "Oh, I'm definitely not going to get corona," and then go to see someone with coronavirus, and the sheer willpower of not wanting to get it will mean I don't get it. It's not how it works.
I do want to clarify, though, that I'm not against being positive about this. Like, that's not my thing here. I think the problem is that this positivity is actually negativity framed as positivity. What you're saying, you're insulting the virus. You're having a go at the virus. You're saying, fuck off, right? And that's not positive.
Have we tried appeasing the virus?
Exactly. Have we tried talks? Have we tried peace talks?
I'm sure it's a really good guy once you get to know it.
Have we tried offering sacrifices up to the virus?
Yeah.
I'm sure some people have.
I guess it's like, it all seems like a bit of harmless fun, but you know it began life with a kind of a groupthink session where they're like, okay, people, let's throw some ideas out there.
We need a phrase.
There'd be a man with a whiteboard.
Yeah, and
different coloured pens.
And it's like, if you're willing,
maybe that's what it is.
If you're willing to scream bloody murder at this virus, then you know someone floated the idea about burning an effigy. Like, I mean, like,
could we on Radio 1?
National initiative. Let's get a burning coronavirus on the corner of every street.
Yes, that will.
That'll do it. That'll scare it off.
But actually, like, that's a really good point because, like, imagine if that happened, right? We're trying to raise public spirits, so we're going to create wooden coronaviruses that look like balls with loads of sticks sticking out of them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, sure.
And these are going to be for sale. They're going to be full of petrol. These are going to be for sale, fucking everywhere. You won't be able to move without being able to buy a Corona scarecrow, right? And then this will be great because everyone will burn these in their gardens and it will rile up the country to be anti. And it's like, no, like this is the same thing. It's like, this is pointless. What are you doing?
This is how I feel about music, by the way.
Generally,
you can't change the world with music. You cannot, and you won't. So just don't bother.
Yeah.
Change the world with positivity.
Like, what was it? Was it
fact? You won't do anything.
What was the one that came after? obviously there was Band-Aid back in the 80s, but
Oh, then Live
It
8.
was Live Aid.
Live
8.
8. Yeah, because
There's Live Aid in the 80s and then Live 8.
Oh, that's right. Live Aid and then Live
which
8.
was to do with G8 Summit.
Oh, well, I'm glad they ended poverty.
I mean, it worked.
Yeah, it really did. Like,
Let's finally
really well.
finally end it. Let's finally do this, guys.
I think that's actually a good comparison because I feel like the problem is it's not that there isn't good intentions behind these things, like incredibly good intentions, but it's like so often the things that will actually fix these problems are not sexy, they're not flashy, and they're not obvious. So it's never like, oh, we threw a load of money in a pot and we solved poverty, or we all just were really positive and coronavirus went away. No, it's actually going to require like just a lot of hours of boring lab work and then like human testing and then they'll just quietly roll out a vaccine and life will get better. You know, that's not
It's like-
sexy.
I am behind the idea of celebrating and congratulating the NHS. And I know that this is a different thing because they're actually doing something. They're on the front lines. They're helping people. They are taking steps to getting rid of the virus as a whole. But in a way, you could argue that that's also empty positivity because they're going to keep doing their jobs anyway. And us clapping and us putting rainbows in our windows isn't going to change that. But I support that. It's the shouting at the virus. I just don't. I think it's probably just the cynicism of knowing it's a marketing campaign, as John says, and the fact that it feels very, very childish. It feels very like clapping for the NHS is something to show our thanks and our respect. You know, shouting at a virus doesn't respect anything. Doesn't even respect the virus, which we actually kind of have to do. We have to respect what it does and understand it so that we can fight it. We're not even respecting it. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's show that virus some respect.
Yeah.
Let's
He's worked hard to get where he is, that virus.
Mr. COVID-19.
So,
Mr. COVID.
Do they do this daily, did you say?
Yeah, they do it daily, and they get a caller every day. I think it's daily. They get a caller every day who is from a different country.
Do they swear at Corona in their own language?
Yes.
Oh, right.
So that's so well, they kind of do. So they start the chat with what is up yours Corona in your language, and they'll say that, or the language.
They might be saying something else. That would be funny.
We'd never know. And then they end their thing with yelling in English, "Up yours, Corona."
So maybe
So what, are they going to put these all together? What is the point of this?
Well, that's a very good question, Chris.
Thank you. I thought so as I was
potentially
asking
another
it.
issue I have with this is what is the point of all of this? Maybe they're going to collect them all and make them all play at once, so it sounds like the whole world is shouting at Corona. But again,
But that won't make a difference. That won't do anything. If anything, the spit transfer from shouting will infect somebody with coronavirus.
Yeah,
And spread the disease further.
worldwide.
You should, if anything, whisper it from behind a mask.
So this is less like the fact that they're actually trying to say it in every language that the human species has ever produced. This is the plot of the movie Arrival. Like, are they not actually trying to find the one language which the virus understands, so they can actually
That was
talk
a
to
weird
it?
movie.
Maybe that
Nothing
is what
really
they're trying to
Nothing
do.
really happened in that movie. I was expecting it all to kick off.
Is that
nothing?
Nicolas
Nothing
Cage
really
one?
happened, did it?
Is that Nick Cage?
That was Amy Adams and Hawkeye.
Oh, Jeremy
Renner.
Yeah, I am now fascinated to know what Nick Cage movie you're thinking of.
Oh no, The Arrival is the one with the aliens.
Yes,
What are you thinking of? Like Ghost Rider or something?
Drive
I was
Angry.
I was thinking of The Knowing,
Oh right, okay, yeah.
which I have seen, and I also have seen The Arrival. Or Arrival, whatever it's called. I've seen it.
The Knowing. Is it not just knowing?
Fuck off, I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you're right.
Doesn't that have aliens in it though?
Oh.
Is it like is aliens or angels or?
Yeah, I think it might be angels. He finds a note, doesn't he, in a treasure in a capsule, time capsule. It's got loads of numbers on it, and it predicts disasters.
Oh.
Right.
Anyway.
I don't think I've ever watched a Nicolas Cage movie. The
The
only film I feel like I've seen him in, or film, Kick-Ass. He was in that.
Oh yeah, he was.
And
Yeah,
I know his
well-
voice is in Into the Spider-Verse.
That is true.
But that's all.
That is true.
That's a good film.
Yeah.
I know he's done some terrible things.
All I can think about now is Nick Cage. Like I was, before it was
Nick
correct.
Cage in Arrival.
Actually, I would say that talking about Nick Cage has done a better job of taking my mind off coronavirus than shouting at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would argue that if you want to take your mind off the virus, shouting up yours corona is the opposite thing to be doing.
Watch a Nicolas Cage movie instead.
How would you like to see this energy redirected? What's a more positive way?
Well, I mean, I did mention clapping for the NHS and making rainbows and stuff like that. I feel like that is a positive thing to do. I think it spreads goodwill towards the right sort of people. I think that sort of thing actually might have a subconscious effect because people will it'll bleed into everyone's thoughts that, actually doctors are kind of good, I guess. They're not trying to fuck us over this time. And then you won't give them such a hard time maybe when you go in to A&E or whatever. Maybe. It could have an effect. Whereas yelling or screaming like negative language, is that not just going to promote that same sort of language elsewhere? Will you just be a ragey, sweary bastard?
I do wonder if just in general we're stepping backwards into a kind of 1930s, 1940s approach to PR or kind of like government messaging. Like it does feel a little bit like
keep calm and carry on.
Well, yeah, or like those kind of newsreels they'd play in back in the day where it's like things may look bleak on the front, but back home we're all fighting our own personal wars. Even Timmy's getting involved, and there's always like a little kid like.
He's got like a saucepan for a helmet,
and he's firing a gun
into the air.
He's looking at a strimmer from the bottom side up.
Yeah, he's squeezing the trigger.
And it's like, and it will cut to like here in the village of Upper Peabody, the farmers are getting ready to go to war, and it's like a bunch of men like stabbing an effigy of like Adolf Hitler or something, and then and then little Timmy, because he's back again, he'll run up and like I don't know, knife the scarecrow, and everyone will laugh, and he's like, "Whoa, slow down, Timmy! Save it for the Hun."
Save some Adolf for someone else.
Save some. I think you've really hit on something there, because I think what you just said then is the exact same thing. If we made an effigy, a plushy, scarecrowy, hay-filled effigy of coronavirus, and then filmed a 5-year-old kid with a fucking machete, just going, and fucking it up, and everyone around the world just clapped. It was just like, little Timmy.
Little Timmy.
What a great message to send to everyone.
I would just be like, what the fuck? Like, granted, coronavirus is the enemy here, but why are we clapping Timmy with a machete? Why are we clapping that? We shouldn't be clapping that. And I think that's what this is that we're clapping people being dickheads and yelling and swearing on the radio. It doesn't matter who the victim of it is, the target of it is. We're clapping dickheads. Let's not do that.
This is like, that's scene 1. Scene 2 is a doctor maybe standing up and saying, "Look, I appreciate what we're doing, but please could we direct our energy in a more constructive manner?" And then scene 3 is the Wicker Man. Like,
back to Nick Cage again.
Scene 3 is a doctor being dragged into an effigy of a coronavirus.
Yeah. I actually think you might be right.
Yeah.
Like, where does this spiral of weird violence and abuse actually end? I don't know.
It goes, and by burning the unbeliever, the locals will bring a vaccine and good crops for the coming decade.
The blood of a doctor will cure us of this virus. For sure.
Yes.
Crops are grown with the blood of the unbelievers.
But hey, it's all a bit of fun, though, isn't it? It's all a bit of honest fun.
That's my problem as well. That phrase at the end. Oh, it's all a bit of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what would be funny if one of them got coronavirus and then you asked them, "Did shouting out yours coronavirus help?"
Yeah, how'd you feel now?
How did that work out for you? Although they'd be furious. I wouldn't do that.
For the record, I don't want anyone to get coronavirus.
No, please try to avoid getting coronavirus.
If you get coronavirus, please try not to get coronavirus. Thank you.
And don't use the phone, because someone else probably has to use that.
Don't shout down the phone.
Don't shout down the phone.
And
drink, you're wearing a face mask.
And drink as much hand sanitizer as you can possibly steal.
Once again, really bad advice, but let's roll with it.
But it's fine. It's fine. I've got a hate.
Oh, all right then.
On a slightly different note.
Well, that's good. We should get away from my subject, really.
I hate overcompensating car names.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I hate that it's not enough to have a quote-unquote manly car. I know how stupid a phrase that is, but you know what I mean. It's not enough to have a manly car. It's got to have a manly name as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's when you because we live in a very suburban town, like a
Sure.
very soft, just I was going to say a liberal, but it's
Wet.
not liberal at all. Actually, I was going to say
No,
a
it's
very
the opposite of that.
very
wet.
a very middle class wet town where
Yes.
we've got a few gradients, but they're all tarmacked, they're all gentle, and yet we have a bunch of people driving the manliest like transformer you could imagine. Like pretty much everyone drives an Optimus Prime, and they're all called like the Ford Violator or the I drive a Subaru fucknut, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's
The new Ford bastard.
I got a Peugeot Quench at the I don't know why I thought Quench was a manly word.
I don't think they'd accept Quench because they look at it and they go, "What's that? A Q and a U?
A
That
Q?
sounds a bit European."
That's one of those feminine letters.
Q is a feminine letter.
Can't spell Queen without Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably spell it like KWEN.
No, you'd spell it with hench in it somewhere.
Quench.
Quahench. And the qua is a KW rather than a QU.
Yeah.
But we were driving past a car garage even just today, and they had like this really like it looked like a pickup truck, like the kind of thing a dusty sweat covered farmer would drive to when he's done like wrestling his sheep, and he's he throws his dog and his gun into the back of the car, and he drives
the gun goes
home.
off and kills the dog, and
He's got like the wheel in one hand, a beer in the other, like his best girl in his other arm, and
he's got three
His
arms.
his third arm.
and he drives a Ford Invader, a Ford Malignant or something like that. Like it's just
Malignant.
yeah, it's just like, oh, tone it down a notch. Jesus, it's only a car. And also it's like it's chrome plated. You're driving it like in the centre of Cheltenham. I don't even we don't have gravel. We have like hand carved, I don't know, marble chips. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we kick off if there's like a pebble in the road.
Yeah.
Like this is madness.
I'll have you
I
know.
do know
think
what you
everyone
mean.
should be forced to drive the same car, and then if someone has an accident or fails to do something correctly, it's not the fault of the car. It's the fault of the individual. You can't then blame, let's say, a Skoda that doesn't go up hills. That's your fault. It's on you. So we should all drive around in the same tin can and not have any individuality whatsoever.
Maybe when self-driving cars come in, maybe that's how it will be. Maybe we'll all just have these little capsules that like nip around on one wheel or something.
That'll show Corona.
Yeah. What?
I feel that way though. Like, the only reason I know what brand of car I drive is simply because it is almost the most generic car ever made. Like, I've got a Toyota Yaris,
Yaris, yeah.
and it's like, it's great, does a job. And people say like, oh, what size engine is it? It's like, I don't know, like,
I don't
Yeah.
care.
yay.
It's one of those
I
ones
guess.
Fits
with
on
four
the
wheels.
bonnet, I guess.
Yeah. It gets me from A to B. I do not care what is under the hood. I genuinely do not care. I
I've
guess I'm
never
just not a
understood
car
the
person. It's
passion
like-
behind cars, if I'm honest. I don't understand it. It's just a load of metal.
I think it's
Neither do I. It's for me, like, I don't give a shit about journeys. I really, really hate journeys, in fact. I think I may have mentioned that on this podcast before. I don't want to spend any time between A and B. I just want to go from A to B. So
Yeah.
my car is irrelevant to me. It's how I feel the same way about cars as how I feel about toilet roll. It's purely functional. We shouldn't be spending time and money on this thing. Let's just get me there. Just get me there. I don't care.
I've got to say, like, I've never gone in for a luxury toilet roll.
No.
I'm
Hold back on this.
What counts as luxury?
Tesco's.
What we talking here?
Anything more than 2-ply.
I think-
Anything more than
Okay.
2-ply. If it's quilted, that's luxury.
Yeah, I say anything with thirst pockets. That's that's a problem.
It's a problem just because of the two words together next to each
I
other.
would rather the money that goes into cars went into some sort of teleportation device. So we don't need cars. We can just step into the teleportation machine and go bloop 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 bloop, and then we walk through, and then we're there. Bang, done.
I'm worried about teleportation though. I worry that every time we teleport, we die, and
we get ripped apart cell by cell and then put back together.
And like up in the afterlife, there's just countless new copies of me appearing every time I jump through.
Well, that would complicate things. But let's stick with the cars.
Yeah,
that is.
But I guess the one down on Earth wouldn't know that, so that's fine.
No, that is. I mean, but what's the greater existential crisis? Having a teleporter which might kill you every time you use it, or driving a Ford Warrior?
What percentage am I likely to perish in either scenario?
It's a real.
I think it's higher in the Warrior.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, like you won't like physically die, but mentally, like a little bit.
Which is
you.
much worse.
Mentally, you become a little less sharp each time you use the teleportation device.
You know what I think is funny though about car names is that every now and then there comes along a car that they seem to have just missed the brief completely in an attempt to make it cool and manly or whatever. And you get like the Ford Probe.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Nicholas, because in the spirit of this discussion, I have found some of the most ridiculous car names ever.
Oh, brilliant.
These are not necessarily manly ones. These are just quote unquote. These are just bad ones.
Just bad.
I would say.
Okay.
For example, this is a soft one, but we have the Nissan Friend Me.
Yeah, I don't like that.
What? Friend, as in the word friend and then the word me?
Hyphenated.
No, I don't like that.
Friend me.
That's bad.
I don't like that at all. That's like
Imagine
a
you got paid like quite a lot of money to come up with that.
I reckon whoever came up with that name got paid more than you or I have ever earned. I would say.
How would you present that and get people to think that's a good idea? You're in a meeting internally, and you go, right, ladies and gentlemen, I've spent 6 months of my working time carefully researching market trends, and this is what I've come up with. And then the sheet comes down. The new Friend Me, and everyone goes, oh, brilliant. I can't imagine sitting in that room and not thinking that was shit.
But basically, the hidden podcast hiding within this show is basically like marketing is shit with Nick, John, and Chris, because
that's a good point. Yeah,
I smell a spin-off.
Because Nick is basically sat in meetings where his team has spent weeks spent on a design,
hours,
and you sit down. And then someone goes, don't like it. It looks like a dick.
Looks like a penis. That guy looks like a penis that you spent hours designing. He looks like a dick.
Funny.
And it always just feels like a flip of a coin. Like every good idea that gets shot down, there's also like a bad idea which people just loved. Like
yeah, it's so true.
The Friend Me might have come out and been the most popular car ever. I don't know. It seems stupid now, but
what else you got?
They're all awful. Okay. We have the Daihatsu Naked.
No. Why is it called the Naked? Does it have like no
yeah, there's got to be a reason
for that. It's just all parts.
Is it just a pipe?
It looks like a car.
That's good.
Like
that would be a good strapline, wouldn't it? It looks like a car.
It looks like a car.
It looks a bit like a Lego Technic car. Like
it's very I've looked it up. It's very cubic.
Yeah, it's panelled, but
it isn't naked though. I wouldn't call that.
Why
naked.
is it? Do we know why they're called these things? Is that information available?
It's not like that's a different word in a different language.
Well, it might be. There was something about the little things that just like don't translate quite as well, because the I think there was one where Toyota made a car called the MR2, which I think, or the MR, because apparently when they tried to sell it in France, it sounded like merde. It sounded like shit in French, basically.
Well, Vauxhall famously had the Nova, Nova.
Yes.
And that means, in Spanish, that's Nova, which means doesn't go. So they had to change Nova in Spain because it literally is, you're calling your car doesn't go. Just doesn't go, mate.
I would say one of my one of the things I quite like is the Vauxhall Adam.
Adam.
Yeah, cars named after people.
Yeah, the Peugeot Steve.
The Vauxhall Crane.
Yeah.
And the Studebaker Dictator.
Dictator.
Which-
Oh wow.
No, and this is an old car as well, so it's not even like this was like 1930s, 1940s.
Bloody hell.
It's like the new
Back when
Mitsubishi
dictators were cool.
Hitler.
And of course, the Ford Probe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Classic.
And I would like to say one of my personal favourites, the Mazda Titan Dump.
Brilliant. Jesus Christ.
It's a flatbed lorry which can tilt out sideways to.
Right, so it can.
It is a dumper
can
truck,
dump.
so to speak.
Shall we say?
What would you call a car if you had to call a car? If you had to
Well,
name
like
a car, someone said, "Hey John, we've
Who
got
am
this
I-
new car."
What type of car is it? Who am I
A
selling
blue
it to?
one.
You want this? You need this to be manly as fuck. Right? We need a manly name for this car. This car is going to be the next Range.
I want this car to be as broadly appealing as possible.
Yeah.
But
Working
no,
with,
wait. Is it broadly? Is it broadly appealing, or is it is it manly? Is
Well,
it
give us
it
one
for
of each.
Okay.
No pressure.
Okay. I'm picturing it's a blue car, and it's got a lot of doors.
Okay. How
And
many
I'm
doors?
picturing
How many
an
doors?
advert.
Arguably
least
too many
6.
doors.
It's got
for
six,
some
six
reason.
doors. Yeah.
Let's just leave it at the wrong
Yeah.
number of doors. It has the wrong number of doors.
It has.
It has
whatever
secret
you're
doors that you may not want.
whatever you're hoping for, it doesn't have.
Yeah.
But I'm picturing the advert is a busy mom, lots of kids. Maybe there's a party they need to get to, but they need to get there safely.
But
And-
quick.
And they're packing like a ton of kids into not the door you would think, because you can't use that one. That's like a vanity
Yeah,
door.
sure.
It's not actually real.
Well, you don't need that many
that's
doors.
painted on.
They're climbing in through the door in the
Yeah.
ceiling.
Yes.
And then there's only one seat, so we're all having to like cluster
Sure.
around it. And then they're driving down that one road on like the side of a mountain, which is in like every commercial
Yeah.
where it's kind of like
Yeah.
switchbacking on itself. And then they flip over the edge and they kind of like
God.
roll down the side of the
Sure.
hill. They're kind of like barreling down, and like all the kids are like bouncing about inside.
Because there are no
But then
seatbelts.
because God knows there's no seatbelts, and then they land, and then everyone kind of like just turns and looks at the camera with like a bit of blood kind of like trickling down the side of their head, and they go and then it goes by the Mazda failsafe.
Fail safe.
And then like the wheels fall off
Yeah.
or
And
something.
then it explodes.
Yeah. I like the idea. That everything you said is great. This is a marketing meeting, right? I'm like, I think that's great what you said there, John. I think that's really, really good. What I'd like is the car tumbles down the cliff. Great moment there in the pitch. Love that. One of the children dies.
Oh yeah.
And there are 10 kids in the car, and then the mother just looks at the camera at the end, and she just goes, 9 out of 10 ain't bad.
And then winks. And then winks.
And then like scratch ending, like 9 out of 10 ain't bad.
Yeah.
And then the logo on the screen, it just says like the Nissan fist.
no, that's too aggressive. You need like a caring name, like the Nissan
I see.
Scapegoat.
What if one of the kids dies, and then you
need
have a
someone to
smash
blame.
cut to the same car driving him to his funeral?
Okay. And it's a
Oh,
hearse.
it's
And
like
it's-
a extendable hearse.
it's-
Like
Yes, the back end telescopes out like a hearse, and now you can take your child to its funeral.
The new Mazda failsafe.
the new.
Keeps you alive or dies trying. There you go.
There we go. Right, I think we got there.
Done.
The new Mazda.
Sold.
But what's the manly version then? What's the? It's the same advert, but now it's like a guy, like
Yeah.
he looks like Bradley Cooper, and he's driving.
Yeah. And he's like popping pills as he's driving, because that's what Bradley Cooper does, I think. Now. He's
Limitless.
There's like
Because
a
of Limitless, he
tumbler
just-
full of expensive whiskey that just comes up from where the
Yeah,
gear stick
and he's
should
got
be.
one of those little yellow medical like cylinders, and he's just like, and he's just like chucking back pills into his mouth.
Yeah.
They're going everywhere. They are literally going everywhere, but it doesn't matter because it's a
as a result, he's going all over the road, but his car doesn't get a scratch in all the other cars.
Yeah, because his car's not a plough on the
mountain. He's knocking cars off the road as he's
going.
They're
exploding.
Because
it doesn't matter a shit that he's driving erratically.
Because it's the only two-person low-rise sports car with sheep bars on either side, like cattle grids on the side of the car.
Actually,
it's got like a chainsaw glued to the front.
And he smashes through like 4 different cars, and then he like skids to a halt in front of the camera. And he looks directly into the camera, and just goes, "Nissan Scapegoat. Don't blame me. Blame the fucking car."
Yeah.
But it bleeps out fucking because but it sounds cool.
After the watershed, you get the full fat version.
Yeah. Don't blame me. Blame the fucking car.
Yeah.
Okay. I like where you're going with this, Nick. I think it's got a lot of potential. But what I really want to see is as he's like drifting down this cliff face, and he's like knocking cars like left, right, and centre, and he looks to the left, and there's a beautiful woman in the car next to him.
Oh yeah,
and he kind of smiles, and he like rests his arm like on the kind of like armrest by the gear stick,
the middle console,
and he just kind of like smiles and nods, and like this little like a little syringe of like black tar heroin kind of like just comes out and like injects like effortlessly into his arm.
Yeah, and his eye just slightly flickers but he takes the pain so like, toughly.
And then
Nissan Scapegoat.
And then he smiles and like a knowing kind of like, oh yeah, I know. And then his eyes roll back up into his head and kind of like collapses, and the car just careens off the hill.
But then it freeze frames.
It freeze frames, and it's like, that's it.
In the air.
That's it.
It freeze frames as the passenger door opens and the girl is halfway out of the car. And it freeze frames there, the Nissan logo just covers her up. And it just says underneath
just literally pings up,
Because that's all the footage they got.
And they had 38 takes, and that was the best one.
That was the best take, yeah.
And then it goes, the Nissan Thrust. And it goes, to be continued. And then a question mark.
Oh, and then a question mark, yes.
But the dot in the question mark is Bradley Cooper's face winking, and then it irises out.
He's winking, but one of his eyes has rolled back. The other one. Okay. Well, I think we've done that.
And then in the other advert for the Nissan Scapegoat, if you pay attention, you'll see Bradley Cooper's car.
They're both filmed on the same day.
They had to for budget reasons.
For budget reasons, we could only film at this particular time.
We could only do one take.
we can't get any insurance beyond today.
We had one take but 2 cameras, so we just shot it from different sides, and that was both cars. There we go. Brilliant.
There you go. Sold. I'll have 2.
And it seems like it's the most satisfying and most successful advertising campaign ever. Yeah. But they're like, wow, I wish we'd manufactured more than one car.
We've got such a demand now.
It should be. So the tagline would be the new Nissan Scapegoat, and then it just said not a scratch.
I would just to wrap up this cavalcade of comedy car names. I would say we have the Isuzu Mysterious Utility Wizard.
Okay.
The Mitsubishi Minica Winky. And its sister...
that sounds like a knockoff version of Doctor Strange.
And its sister car,
Utility Wizard,
the Mitsubishi Minica Lettuce, and the Toyota Del Boy.
Nice.
Wow!
Oh, I also have the Tarpan Honker. So
Honker.
So that's me. The new Nissan Scapegoat.
Yeah,
That's
now.
That's my 8.
It's not your fault. It's the cars. Have you got a hate for us?
I sure have.
Oh, delightful.
My hate is having to watch the success of others.
And of course, that's perfect for today.
Yeah, I don't... and this pretty much is about football.
Okay,
great.
So
we can relate to that.
We are towards the end of the season, as I alluded to earlier, because the FA Cup final was yesterday.
Of
Obviously,
course,
of course, everyone knows.
And I'm guessing Gills were in the final.
Well, not this year, no.
Okay, maybe next year.
Strangely,
Maybe next year. Yeah.
Maybe you never know. You never know.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Obviously, this season's been delayed, but now everyone's winning trophies and everything, and
Yay.
and that includes teams like Leeds United, who our mutual friend Richard Holton supports. So watching him enjoy their success and celebrating a league title just fills me up with some kind of awful rage.
Right.
That I am. It's pure petty jealousy, frankly. Because
You can't be happy for him.
I can't be happy for him because it just reminds me that I am still unhappy.
Does this mean that football has finally been resolved?
No,
Is it done now?
It will never. It will never be decided who has won the football.
Right.
Imagine if they did that. Imagine if one year it was like, this is the final.
This is the final of football.
This is not like Final Fantasy where it keeps coming back. This is and in fact like the FA Cup final where it's not final, is it? Because there's going to be another one next year. This is going to be the best football man.
This is
team group.
The best football man.
Football man.
Of all time.
Who is the best football man?
Who is the best
Vote
football
now.
man? And who is the best football mans that support the man? Like, let's find out.
Is it because you can't technically finish football until you score 10 goals in a game? Is that like
You say that, John, but it has happened.
Really? A team has
yeah,
scored
Gillingham,
10 goals.
Gillingham in the 1980s won a game 10-1.
really?
And then
Well,
I started
shit,
supporting
then.
them. Yeah, we beat. I think it was Chesterfield. We beat 10-1.
Did the other side
not?
not turn up or something? Or
Must not have. Must have been out on the night before.
It was 10-1, so they scored at least one.
They scored one. Well, we horsed it in our own net, perhaps. I don't know. And then the
Might have been an
following
own
week,
goal.
won 8-0. So that was weird. That was a fun time. But I wasn't around then, which is very sad.
That is sad.
But watching other teams celebrate a league title or lift a cup or whatever just reminds me of when we lifted a league title and how much fun I had, and now I'm not having that much fun.
So wait, Gills have won a league title.
They won the 4th division title.
there are many leagues. It's
There are
important.
many leagues.
Yeah.
I am aware of this.
Each
vaguely.
more complicated than the last. We won it in 2013, and we had a great time celebrating. And since then, nothing.
Okay, so they are quite good then.
Well, we won the 4th division. So,
Yeah, but I mean, you're better than everyone else in the 4th division then.
certainly
you
that
were.
year, yes, absolutely.
So
Okay,
what
that's
have
something.
the following 7 years been like? Now you've spent all that time in the league above, the third
Well,
league.
it's been 7 years of mid-table finishes in the league above.
but you haven't gone down.
We haven't gone down, which is nice. When you only
But I'm
went down
guessing
one
like
year.
mid-table finishes are probably rather underwhelming, I would have thought.
Yes, well, there's nothing really to celebrate come the end of the season. So it's watching these clubs, and it just reminds you, we've achieved nothing.
Maybe
this
like
year.
maybe these.
I wish that was us. That's always what I think. I wish this was us because we'd have a great time.
But maybe those middling clubs. I'm sorry, I'm doing you a disservice.
No.
Maybe these
I've-
lower to middling clubs.
Sure.
Maybe they've got the right idea because evolution. It's not a game of winning or losing. It's about
Yeah,
gradual.
staying alive.
It doesn't. You don't have to be perfect. You just got to be alive.
That's the thing. If
Yeah.
you're at the top, you're now the one that everyone's looking to take down. If you're in the middle, no one's looking at you. You can just
But
gradually...
why can't you be both?
Because here's why. This is how football ends. Eventually, the teams all give up. If you're the last team that doesn't give up, you win all of football.
You win the football.
So one day, Leeds United are going to go, you know what? We've had enough wins. And also, people are always coming for our titles. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to
We've
quit.
had enough. I've had enough of people.
We're done with football. And gradually, the
coming
leagues will
for us.
diminish until there are just a handful of teams left. And Gills will be there. They'll be there right to the end.
I don't know. I feel like we'd give up pretty early.
I choose to believe that there is one very subtle condition in football which has never been met, which is why it can't be ended. And no one can talk about it because
There's a secret rule.
Yeah, that's kind of
It's like catching the snitch in Quidditch.
yeah. That's like the condition of the Dark Pact which created football, and
And
it's
the
something
FA
will
have
happen.
to honour it.
It will be like one day there'll be like I don't know. It will just be like some really
Someone will throw up a rainbow or something.
It will be like I don't know. Rev, give me 2 comically obscure teams for the sake of comedy.
How obscure
Gillingham.
do you want?
Gillingham.
Kind of like
Gillingham is
level. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Rochdale and I don't know. Barnet.
Okay, Rochdale and Barnet are playing each other.
I would.
Is that possible?
Anything's possible.
Are they in the same league?
No,
or
no,
something?
they are not. I can give you 2 teams in the same league. Barnet
It'll be a
Barnet
friendly.
and
It'll be
Yeovil.
friendly.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
Yeovil.
are
Yeovil,
in
okay.
in the Highest tier of non-league.
So what's the home stadium for Yeovil?
Home Park.
Probably Yeovil Football Stadium.
How do you know that?
Yeah, how do you know that?
I know all of them. You can give me a club and I'd know their ground.
Scarborough.
They don't exist. Scarborough went under.
The Ilchester Cougars.
Colchester is the community home stadium.
Okay.
Norwich.
You could be saying
I
anything.
know. This could all be bollocks.
Norwich.
Carrow Road.
Oh, for God's sake.
Fucking hell. This is amazing.
If he's lying, he's a very convincing liar.
What about
And how?
Lancashire? No, that's not a city. Padiham.
The Padiham Stadium. I don't know.
Okay, I believe you.
It's called the Pad.
It's called the Pad.
Actually.
The pad.
It's
The
where we
launch
all
pad.
go.
Okay, so what are those two shitty teams you just
Barnet
said?
and Yeovil.
Barnet and Yeovil. They're playing. No one's watching. Nobody cares.
No one cares.
There's
that sounds fairly true to life.
There's barely 22 people on the pitch.
Yeah.
They can't be bothered. It's a rainy Sunday afternoon in mid-April,
Okay.
and then it happens.
The moment
Like,
we've all
just-
been waiting for.
The moment,
The event.
like somebody scores in the hidden goal,
Okay.
like the goal which isn't like it's like a hoop on a stick, like, and it's always there, but the camera never has it in shot.
Yeah.
And like
Everyone thinks it's just like a statue or something, but no one's ever really stopped to think that every pitch has one.
yeah, and
It's one of those things you don't
centre-
notice until you realise.
and
But it's only as wide as a ball, so scoring three is
it's
incredibly difficult.
It's literally the width of the ball. Yeah.
and it's a long tube like whack-a-mole. And Dave Obtuse, centre midfielder,
that guy.
part-time, hoofs the
Part-time
ball,
accountant most of the time.
and incredibly it flies up and goes into the mouth of the secret goal.
Yeah.
And everyone pauses and looks up, and it rolls down this long drain pipe,
Yeah.
and it's spiraling down, and it hits a tiny bell at the end.
Okay.
And everyone just kind of stops and they go,
That's it.
"It happened.
It's over.
It's over.
We're free." And then
Everyone
everyone
stops playing football.
Everyone rips off their shirts and starts hugging each other.
There's no
crying.
barriers between us anymore.
And the ball
Yeah.
But can you
erupts into
imagine?
flames.
If that was the ultimate goal of football, you wouldn't want to ever miss a match, would you? You'd watch every single game you
In case.
possibly could, so you could see that
don't know.
moment live.
There's been a lot of football.
I'd watch it on YouTube, to be honest. Probably.
Yeah, I'll get the highlights.
Whatever.
I do.
But I would
it does-
would then subsequently be jealous of those two teams because they had that moment and their fans because they had that moment and we
see.
did not.
I
It
am.
would make me yearn for the glory days of 2013 when we won the 4th Division title.
I
Do
am.
you find yourself constantly yearning, like, because I've heard how England supporters,
Yeah.
that is to say, most people who live in England, probably, that's how they feel about the World Cup.
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's like this constant, like, we won it before. Fuck,
What is it now? Is it like 48 years of hurt?
54 now.
Jesus Christ.
Since 1966. But we came very close a couple of years ago, obviously, but that didn't
Yeah, that
happen.
doesn't- you don't get a trophy for.
Oh
close.
yeah,
I thought it was coming home.
you go through, in my mind, you go through all the horrible shit which following Gillingham comes with, just for that moment of glory that you'll remember for the rest of your life. Like there have been games where it's just something ridiculous has happened, and you're
Yeah,
like,
because God
I
knows
was
there's not
there, and
gonna
I
be
will
two of
remember
those
that
in your
forever.
lifetime.
And that's what it's all about.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I hate that
I
other
mean-
people have that.
That's fair enough.
I'm actually kind of surprised at how much joy this image is bringing me, and that's the image of there's some Premier League game going on. It's at Wembley. Who knows?
It's
And
huge.
That's a big stadium, right? Wembley.
It is
Probably.
the biggest in England, yes.
There's some big
yeah,
game coming on,
probably.
and
a good guess.
everyone's watching that game because no one's watching Yeovil versus Rochdale.
Barnet.
Barnet.
We agreed
right,
on
yeah.
Barnet in the end.
But then the word comes in.
Yeah.
Like someone runs onto the pitch with a phone, and hangs it to the referee, and he goes, "Oh my God," and then like, just then stands in front of a microphone and very solemnly rings a bell 3 times, and then like weeping and like laughter kind of like breaks out in the crowd, and everyone goes, "Finally, it's over. We can go home." And like, everyone just like runs like dancing into the street.
I mean, people could say what they like about you, John, but you really do understand football.
Well.
If there's one thing John
If
gets,
there's one thing John appreciates, it's football.
Well, what's important to note is that I am, of course, exaggerating for comedic
Oh,
effect,
yes.
but at the same time, I'm
At the same time, not that much.
At the same time, I'm kind of like crying inside a little bit because that would make me so happy if this shared horrible experience called football could finally be over.
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. I didn't realise that's
that
how
was
strongly
brutal.
you
Well,
felt.
John refuses to attend football matches now.
Not after
He came to a few with me and then refused.
I came to kind of like in the way if you've got like a parent who just totally doesn't get the thing you're into, but they really try. They try, like, you know, you're really into taxidermy.
Sure.
And like your parent comes along to like one convention. You know,
I would not.
God,
If
imagine
I
a taxidermy
was into
convention.
taxidermy, I would not go to that convention.
Here's the only thing I can think. Right, is a taxidermy convention would probably smell
Yeah.
really bad. I don't know why, but I just feel like it would smell of either chemicals or corpses or both. Because it is both.
Why does it smell of both? Surely it should be one or the other.
Well, this is it, isn't it?
I choose.
Some people haven't done it as well. Okay, let's be honest.
I know there's a I think there's a Comic-Con in.
They smell pretty bad, to be fair.
There's because often they're just called like the Cheltenham Comic-Con or the Manchester Comic-Con, but I swear there's a couple which have tried to work like a pun into their name. So it's like Stoke. Yeah, that's it. Stoke-on-Trent has Stoke-con-Trent.
Oh, very clever.
So I'm
I don't
thinking
like
the taxidermy convention would be held in like Derby, and it'd be called like Taxidermy. That'd be my thinking.
We should pitch that to the
Thank you.
council.
This has been an episode of pitching ideas, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We're also creative.
I think we have a pitch as well for the movie The Secret Goal,
Yeah.
which is about the end of football. I think,
And then the movie
kind
doesn't
of like
mention it at all until it happens right at the end, and then the movie
till it
just
happens.
ends.
But it's like an apocalypse movie,
Yeah.
but for football fans.
But ultimately a joyful one.
Yeah, because they are free.
Because I don't think anybody actually enjoys football. I think it's just a.
It's
just
a
like
slog. It's definitely a slog. But then when you get that
certainly from everything
moment
Chris
when
has been
someone
saying,
scores
it
3
certainly sounds
penalties
like
in
he
10
hates
minutes or something like that, which has happened, you remember that, and that's the moment. That's what makes it worth it. And I don't want. Yeah, that happened. We were 2-0 down.
3
at home to
penalties?
Scunthorpe, and we're playing terribly. And then we got 3 penalties in 10 minutes, scored all of them, and won the game. It's great, really good.
Great. That's a good feeling.
The last football game I ever attended in, trying to be a friend, trying to be a good friend.
Failing.
I would like to thank you for
you're
finally
welcome.
pushing me over the edge. Like it was like an intervention. Like if you hadn't done that, I might still be going through this grim charade of trying to.
What,
care.
did
To be
he
fair,
take
this
you
was
to a
one of the worst
particularly
games
bad
I've
one?
ever
Is that
seen.
really what happened?
And I've been to hundreds. John was there.
John was there, by your side.
I was, and it was the field looked like a ploughed. It looked like I say field rather than pitch. It did look like a ploughed field rather
It looked
than.
like a ploughman's.
It looked like a ploughman's. And
And a big block of cheese there in the middle.
bear in mind, I had to be cajoled a little bit because it's like, it's not really about football. It's about having a good time. It's about seeing your mates.
I think this was my birthday, if we're thinking of the same game.
Oh yeah,
Which I think we are.
Yeah, yeah.
Make
And
me feel bad.
I think within the first 5 minutes, I was like, "You son of a bitch!" Like you absolute.
Text me. You were sitting 3 seats down from me, and you text me saying, "You unspeakable shit." Because it was Stockport v Gillingham. It was fucking dreadful, and it rained.
It was awful.
And
And it rained.
Yeah,
and it was an open stand, so there wasn't a roof on it.
yeah.
You unspeakable shit.
We're just sitting there, and I put I had like a Gen 1 iPod Nano. In
I was
my
about to say,
pocket.
did you at least have like a Game Boy or something?
No, I didn't. God, can you
Game Boy at
imagine?
the football.
They would have
Playing sensible soccer on the Game Boy.
That would have been a better match.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
They I put one headphone into my ear just so I could like listen to some music for a bit, and I swear a guy it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like it's trying to work out like who's coming for you. They spot any weakness because I know a guy next to me was like, "Oh, all right, mate. You listen to the scores on your headphones. You know, you catch going match of the day." I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
can't
mate,
get enough of those soccer scores.
you know me.
definitely not listening to the Killers circa 2011. Oh, I'm all right,
And then you high-fived each other.
Then we high-fived each other, and then I went.
Best buds.
The highlight was having a coffee and a Yorkie bar at half-time. I remember that Yorkie bar. And
It's the only light that shone through.
See,
the
that's what I
darkness of
mean.
that
That's
night.
what I mean. You go to football, you see all the shit, but then there's that one Yorkie bar that you'll always remember.
There's that one moment.
what was the final
Makes it all
score?
worthwhile.
0-0.
Yeah, of course it was. Yeah.
Yeah, of course it was.
It was awful. It was particularly awful, that one.
That's an average of a goal every, I believe, 16 hours, I think.
Yeah.
What-
You've been to a few though. You saw us win at Wembley. To be fair, that was
did.
Good. That was good.
I did, yes.
I cried because
Yeah,
John
well,
had
we
dragged me
all-
to another football match.
We all did after
John cried,
after
yeah.
the scenes
We cried.
unfurled.
We laughed too.
I thought you were gonna like throw yourself off a balcony in a fit of like ecstatic.
I went. I was
ecstatic
off. I
joy.
was gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. Anyway, there you go.
There you go.
That's
I will. One thing out of all the fun we've been poking at football, I would genuinely love to see Chris when Gills win.
Yeah.
I think the joy that he would display was probably greater than any joy I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
And I think if I was just there next to him, I could just suckle.
You can
a little bit.
radiate the
Yeah, and I think I'd love to see how happy, because the way you describe how you feel about wins and losses is like setting off my empathy gland in like a really big way. And if I was actually there and that emotion, I think it would be tangible coming off of you, like a sort of
Nick's
electric
trying to get
storm.
an invite. Maybe we should have a field trip.
I wasn't. No.
No,
Shit.
no.
Oh,
Yeah. the ship has-
Back up. Oh no.
The ship has sailed. Let's not,
No.
Yes, come on,
is
John.
It was kind of like when like deeply religious people have like a kind of biblical experience, like where it's the height of worship, where and their body just breaks down and they're just kind of like crying, laughing,
It
shitting
can't hold the
uncontrollably.
emotion.
It was like that, like in
That's
the
what
island.
happened
Nappies.
Saturday.
That was minute one. That was like the.
Holy shit.
That was
Really
just
uphill
kickoff. Yeah.
Anyway, who's got a love? Who's got a love?
I've got a love.
Yeah. All right.
I love gargoyles.
Oh my goodness.
The cartoon.
No.
Oh,
Actual gargoyles.
oh, okay. That's not as fun.
What is an actual
Sorry.
gargoyle?
Well, this is the thing, right? So we were on a walk, as I may have mentioned, at the weekend. Went on a long walk. I don't know if I mentioned it on air.
I
Hey,
can't
did a walk
remember
this
what was
weekend.
on air and what was off air.
Either way, we did a walk, and we came across a little village, and there was a church there, and the church had a lot of gargoyles poking out at the top of this church,
Oh.
and lots of like faces, and they're great because these churches are old, right? And this was back in the time when everyone was really serious, and everyone had cholera, and everything was
Everyone
black
was
and
saying,
white.
up yours, cholera.
Everyone was saying up yours, cholera,
And that fixed it.
and that's why we don't have cholera.
Yeah,
now,
exactly,
which is
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
Yeah, it worked really well. So these times were like grey and dull and bleak, and the best thing was if you got like some grain one day. That was like a huge highlight for them. And yet their buildings, their most important buildings in their like community, they put like cartoony like faces going bah, like sticking out the top. These buildings that the most money was spent on, the church was the most like rich sort of community thing that existed in these villages and these towns back in the day. These were the skyscrapers of their time. And the architects building them had the most serious job to create this like stunning piece, this edifice that would last hundreds of years. They even didn't live long enough to see their creations completed. And they thought, you know what, we'll put some funny faces on it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that'll be
This
good.
will be a laugh.
This will be funny. And I looked it up. I looked up the Wikipedia page for gargoyles, right? And like some of them are to like carry the water that pours onto the roof of the church off and away from the building. So they're kind of like early gutters because they pour off them. But there's no explanation for why they're gargoyles. That could just be a little stick sticking out. It doesn't have to have a silly face on it. So someone just thought it'd be funny to put faces on it. I love it.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Like, whenever something like historic, they people go like, oh yes, well, we best thinking suggests that the gargoyle was meant to be to ward off evil spirits or to be a representation of evil spirits. But for all we know, they could have just been having a laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like,
because there's a lot of the stuff on the Wikipedia article where it's just like, to be honest, we really don't know. We really don't know why they did it. There's lots of theories, But there's an amazing quote from a guy. I can't remember what he's called. It's called like Balthazar the Fifth or something. And it's like he wrote this in 1600 and shit or something. And he's basically just like, why have we got these? He's just having a go about them. He's just like, what are these fantastic monsters doing in the cloisters before the eyes of the brothers who read? What is the meaning of these unclean monkeys, these strange savage lions and monsters? And then at the end he's like, surely if we do not blush for such absurdities, we should at least regret what we have spent on them. So even back then they didn't understand what the fuck they were for. It's brilliant. It's amazing. They're the biggest joke that I think anyone ever got away with.
First thing to go in times of hardship, funding for the arts, you know.
Exactly. Why? I tell you why, because we put gargoyles in everything. Like, John, if you look back at all the comics I've drawn for you, gargoyles everywhere. I just put them in.
Look out for that next time.
We have a mutual friend in the comics world who has also worked in the archaeology world. Like he works, or used to at least. You know, he used to go into fields and dig up things found by farmers. And he was saying the biggest secret about archaeology is whenever they find something and they don't know what the hell it is, they just say for ceremonial purposes. That's just a catch-all term for everything.
It's
so
an
it's
umbrella
like,
term for anything goes.
Yeah, it's like, what have you found? He goes, well, you know, we unearthed this old. I believe it's like the footprint of an old house. You know, we can very clearly see, you know, where they kept the grain, where they kept the animals, where people lived, and a little fire pit. And we found a load of these odd kind of urns, which we believe were used for ceremonial purposes.
Sure.
They just, you know, no idea. That was clearly an oven. That was clearly like a forge. You know, this is where they shoed horses. And, you know, I guess this little circular thing was for ceremonial purposes. You know, because people are still people. Like, people from like 500 years ago were probably just as stupid as we are now. Like, they probably...
I'd love it if, in the future of from now, they're uncovering my house, and you know it's an amazing dig site, and they're digging up, and they find like a small plastic rectangle with 2 buttons and a keypad and a little screen, and they're like, we don't really like understand these, but we're for sure that these were for ceremonial purposes.
Yeah, it's like, what's the stupidest thing I've got in my house? I'm trying to think. Like,
oh well, that's exciting, isn't it?
Thing is now. Everyone would know. There's too much knowledge, so you could find stuff in 100 years, and everyone knows what everything is.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
It's just like,
because of the internet.
this isn't interesting. Then it's
bastard.
like time capsules. They used to be cool. When Blue Peter used to bury a time capsule,
Yeah.
and say in 50 years, the people will dig this up and wonder how we lived. And it's now it's like, well, they won't because it's all on the internet.
Yeah, I can Google what was life like in the 50s, and I'll find like 20 YouTube videos that tell me what life was like then.
There's no mystery. There's no mystery anymore.
well, I guess
Except
like,
for gargoyles.
Yeah, maybe the gargoyles
That's
are
the
the
biggest
last
mystery.
the last mystery.
The last mystery.
I guess like if somebody buried a time capsule in say 1900, like turn of the century, and you dig that up in 50 years, I reckon, yeah, you'd go, oh, the world has changed so much in 50 years. But like, if Blue Peter buries a time capsule in like the 1980s, and they go, oh, you know, we're gonna open this in the year like 2020, and to discover how much the world has changed, and then they're gonna dig it up, and they're gonna go, oh, let's see what they did back in the 80s, and we open it, and they go, okay, it's a book.
What's a book?
Kind of. I guess we kind of still have those.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
an LP.
pack
Yeah,
of crisps. It's not really changed much. Not going to open it though. It's probably gone off. You know, vinyl. I mean, how do we get that in a time capsule? Don't know. You know, bent
Just
it a
broke it
bit.
in half.
Yeah. You know, it's like the world has not actually. Maybe like snap bracelets.
Yeah, you can't get them anymore because they're illegal.
Why are they illegal?
They're not really illegal.
Oh, damn it! I thought
That was my
They
attempt.
got banned from schools, I think.
Did they?
Because they were very painful in certain scenarios.
like pogs.
Yeah, like pogs.
Pogs, yeah.
If you threw a slammer
Pogs.
at a person's face, that would really hurt.
It just sprung to mind. I found out the other day about a thing called Jenkum.
Right.
Never heard
This is
of
a bit
it.
like a time capsule, but apparently Jenkum is a DIY drug where you shit and piss in a bucket and you cover.
Oh, and then you huff the fume.
Well, at the same
well,
time.
you probably like, you know, you take turns, you know, but you put it in a bottle, seal the bottle, leave it a week, and then you come back and you sniff the bottle, and that's
I've heard about this.
That's Jenkum.
Yeah. and it gets you like spaced out.
There's got to be more time effective ways you can do that.
You
Stand up
stand up too quickly. Get a head rush.
And less invasive ways.
The new
Sure, just go and get it from your dealer like anybody else.
the new Nissan Jenkum.
Yeah.
Who else has
Looks
got
better than it smells.
I've got love.
Go on.
Oh, alrighty.
Go on, John.
I love 80s TV shows that featured, I don't know, a gimmicky man of mystery in some way.
Oh.
Now,
Okay.
Mr. Chips.
I think no, that's awful. What are you talking about? No,
Mr. Chips.
no. Listen to what you're
He
saying.
was a man of mystery. 'cause
Yeah,
he never knew
no.
what he was
Okay,
doing.
I described that terribly, but
You did.
I mean the trope.
Mr. Chips.
Will you please shut up about Mr. Chips? All right, we get it. All right, we've heard your seminars, but like, I mean like,
Webinars these days.
I mean your Magnum PIs. I mean
Okay.
your
Oh, your one leading
MacGyver.
guy.
I thought you were referring to like game shows.
No.
Like Michael Knight.
Yes, Michael Knight, a man, barely alive.
Alive.
No, I just mean like, what a glorious time it was. Where, well, probably not, but I mean like that whole trope in the 80s of this is the best that entertainment can possibly be, and we're just going to endlessly make the same show where it's always a guy or a group of guys or a guy in like his cast of buddies solving, well, not even like solving crimes.
Yeah,
just,
he just rocks up, doesn't he? He's like on the road, and he's seemingly going from town to town, and we don't really know why or where he's actually going. And then you get there, and then there'll be a woman who'll be like, "Oh, the Duke has taken over the casino," and it'll be like,
I love that episode.
"Yeah, it's a really good one." And then it's like, "Don't worry, Michael Knight is here." And then he sort of superheroes his way out of the problem. And then he sleeps with the girl. And then I guess he goes on the road again, because next time he's in a different place.
It's funny you mentioned like the Duke taking over the casino, because like I feel like every episode of each of these shows was basically like a corrupt local businessman is doing something untoward. Like it was always
And like no one can pin it on him, but he's definitely doing it.
it's always like, oh thank God, he'll walk into town and he'll like walk into like a bar, and like a friendly waitress will go like, "All right, stranger, we've not seen you around here before. Have a drink on the house." He goes, "Thanks. This seems like a nice town." "Oh, it is a nice town, except for," and then the door will open, and
Yeah.
Boss
The Duke will come in.
Boss Harley will come in, and he's like got a big Stetson on, and like
Yes, he'll definitely have and cowboy boots.
and cowboy boots, and he'll like menace the bar a little bit and go like, you're late on payments, Sheila," and
What town is this?
No
one knows.
It's in the middle of Australia, America,
Okay, yeah.
and
Australamerika.
and then Michael Knight will have to, I don't know, just rough up a few of Boss
The
Harley's
goons.
goons.
Yeah, sure.
Because it turns out
And then Boss Harley
is-
will be like, this isn't over. This isn't the end of this. And then he'll walk out. The saloon doors will go, and then the waitress will be like, "You shouldn't have done that. No one messes with Boss Harley. It lives."
but
And he's
Michael
like,
Knight does.
Dun, dun, dun.
We'll see about that.
Until now.
And then he dies.
Yeah.
I
That'd be good.
I have a massive soft spot for Magnum PI.
Yeah.
Like I ended up watching a ton of Magnum PI back when I think I was on like study leave for my A levels, and for some reason like Magnum PI was on every morning at 11 a.m. So like I'd revise for a little bit, then take a break and go watch an episode of Magnum PI.
Go have a PI break.
And it's so like all those shows are so formulaic, but it's
They're
like
the most formulaic, I think, of any show ever. Like that includes Power
Sure.
Rangers.
but it's like wrapping yourself in like a really warm blanket where you just go like, I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to have a happy ending. Like there might occasionally be a very special episode of Magnum PI which will deal with like a more serious tone, like heroin or something like that. But it all gets resolved at the end.
If you can imagine such a thing.
I just love it. Like you've got an amazing theme tune.
That's a requisite.
You've got to
for all
have
of these
a
shows.
stellar theme tune. So we're talking like MacGyver, Magnum PI,
Airwolf.
the A-Team. I get that like people love Airwolf, but like I've
It
never.
has a good theme tune. I didn't really love Airwolf.
No, I feel Airwolf was one of the weaker entries.
Well, you know what? What's hilarious is that there was Airwolf and there was another helicopter man of action drama.
But not that one.
Amazingly. But not that one. But it was called Blue Thunder, I think.
What?
Yeah, and it was like a helicopter, but it also had like a truck that was called Rolling Thunder, if I remember rightly. And then I think there was a bike as well, and they were all blue.
Hang on
and
a minute. I've got
I think it was Blue Thunder. I hope I've got that right.
Blue Thunder.
Am I right?
Oh, go away, Bing. No one cares.
Go away, Blue Thunder.
Bing.
Blue.
Nobody likes you,
Blue
Bing.
Thunder. Blue Thunder is a 1983 film, apparently.
Oh.
Maybe.
Oh, was it not a show? Maybe I just saw it on Bravo and thought it was a show.
Blue Thunder is a helicopter specially modified for police work, but is armed
Yeah.
and designed to counter street insurgencies.
How? How does a helicopter deal with street problems?
The thing that gets me about that sort of thing is that they clearly had access to a prop. Like, they had...
Yeah. I think this is the case for Airwolf as well. They had access to that helicopter, but it always had to fly in the same place. So the story had to take the action out to this, like, wild area.
Yeah.
And I think he stored Airwolf in an extinct volcano. Which is, like, A, where'd you find that, dude? And B, why, like, maybe that would be a place people would look for a helicopter. I don't know.
What's interesting is that if I Google Blue Thunder, which I just did, I see that somebody has made both Blue Thunder and Airwolf out of Lego, and they are
Brilliant.
both in the same picture together, going Airwolf versus Blue Thunder.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone has drawn Airwolf and Blue Thunder and they're kissing. Like, because they've shipped them. I think that's probably something.
Why was it so easy to make a show back then? Like, why was it so easy to go like, okay, what's the concept? Oh, he's a man of mystery living in spin the wheel?
Venice.
Oh my god, yes. He lives in Venice and he drives a military grade gondola and he solves crimes.
Gondola. This is Rocket Gondola.
Imagine a high-speed chase in Venice.
Yeah.
But of course, filming the chase
His name
sequences
is Mario. And he's the only one in possession of the Rocket Gondola.
But you're right, they'd only ever film one chase sequence on one day because they only had access to the rocket gondola for like one day. And then every action scene in every episode uses that same footage, but just from like slightly different angles.
Or they'd like cut in the different enemies. So it'd be like a guy in a canal boat one time, and then next time it'd be like a guy in a rowboat. But it would always be the same footage of the rocket gondola.
And he'd have because like Magnum PI was interesting in that he didn't really have like a unique vehicle as such. Like, because A Team had their van, Airwolf had the helicopter. Now, Magnum's friend TC piloted a helicopter.
That's always good.
And I think there were occasionally speedboats involved, but that was like the superpower back in the day. It was like having a car.
Having a vehicle. Yeah.
Like the best you could imagine was just having like...
That's the future.
It's the idea as well with Knight Rider that like the most advanced part of that show was the fact that they had generated sentient AI and they decided to put in a car.
Yeah, like what could Kit actually do?
Wasn't he just like an assistant?
He could jump. He had turbo boost. He could go boom.
Yeah.
Jump in slow motion. That was cool.
Did he have guns?
No, don't think so. But he was bulletproof, I think.
Okay.
He could like drive himself, so he
Okay.
could come and pick up Michael, which is kind of cool.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty clever.
He could drive through walls.
Could he?
Yeah, I mean, he just did. I don't know whether he could, but
He wasn't designed to. He just did it frequently.
oh, and Michael Knight had a little watch, and he could press a button, and he'd go beep, Kit, come get me, and then Kit would drive through the wall and kill him.
No.
Fuck, no, Kit, no.
Oh no!
I
No, gentle Ben.
I remember watching an entire sketch or an entire series of sketches online called Night Driver, which is entirely about that scenario where Michael Knight is always tied to a chair and he keeps calling Kit to come rescue him, and Kit plows through the wall and runs him over every time.
That's amazing.
Anyway,
sounds
so
like-
that's my love. A simpler time
cool.
when a man on a mustache and a car or a helicopter or possibly a boat could
Was all
just
you needed.
could make 8 seasons, and that was apparently revolutionary television.
What's your love, Chris?
My love is bloopers.
Oh.
I've always loved bloopers.
Love a blooper.
Do you remember Auntie's Bloomers on the BBC?
Yes.
Yes.
Presented by Terry Wogan.
Yep.
I like seeing things go wrong, basically, in a humorous way. So I've taken recently to looking up lots of blooper videos for mainly Ricky Gervais comedies.
Right.
Because I always think it's quite good to know what actually happened in the show, but then watch the outtake and it all going tits up. And I often find bloopers funnier than the show itself.
I find it hilarious when the actor or comedic actor is doing a joke and they laugh. If they break character, I just lose it. I just think it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
I love it. They call it corpsing, I think, isn't it?
Because he killed the
when
character.
they laugh. I love that. I don't know why. Just something about it. I love it, and I will watch those blooper videos again. I've been watching some for The Office recently.
Ah, brilliant.
Because obviously I'm now familiar with The Office, the
Indeed.
US Office,
so
which I would recommend still.
Do you mean so you're talking about US Office bloopers?
US Office bloopers, which are very good in their own right as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some legendary bloopers out there. They're good stuff. I do enjoy it.
I'll keep it short and sweet. That is basically my love. My love. That's it.
It's good. I like.
I've not got any examples for you. I would just recommend you go and look them.
Just
It'll
look
give
them
you a
up.
Bloody good laugh.
I'm glad you put the legwork in to kind of.
Yeah, you know.
It's just good, honest
The
fun.
thing is,
isn't it, though?
I could describe a blooper to you or act it out, and it wouldn't have the same comedic effect as actually watching it.
Yeah, don't
Oh,
do that.
agreed. And if that were my love,
Plus, I haven't done the research.
no,
Anyway.
and absolutely. And if that were my love, I certainly would have thought twice about bringing it up to, you know.
What do you want from me, John?
Oh, I know
This
you.
in itself could be on a bloopers reel. So that's all tied that up in a nice little bow.
Yeah, except in this podcast, everything stays in.
Yeah.
It's all
Everything,
killer,
yeah,
no
that's true.
filler.
It could be argued that our entire discography is a blooper. Like,
Yeah,
one
people
massive-
might say
massive-
that the
Hour
podcast
and a half.
was a mistake. Like, I think in retrospect, when people look back, they will say that whole podcast, that was a mistake. And
We could put this in a time capsule, and people could look at it in 50 years and go,
That's a shame.
"Yeah, that was an error."
yeah, they were right to bury it.
Yeah, they actually didn't want us to dig it up.
please God, don't open this.
Also, I mean, that's pretty good for somebody who had, what was it, 5 pints yesterday?
Yeah, you
And
came
more-
up with bloopers all by yourself.
More than that.
Amoresque.
I had 4 pints with you, and I was out for another 7 hours.
So let's not even extrapolate. Let's just
So I
leave
don't
it
think
there.
we need to figure it
Yeah,
out.
and we were only together for half an hour as well. So
Yeah, well, I thought we did very well.
well, in which case, on that short, sweet, and salty note, what do we think? What do we think won out today? Love or hate?
Oh.
Whoa, who was that?
I don't
That was
want
the
to
dog-
say
that was
first
the dog
because
seeing
like
someone.
I want to see whether we can get some tension here. So I'm not going to go first.
Okay, we could do it on the count of. Wait, let me think. Which one do I think won? Okay.
Are we saying it together?
We
Is
can-
that
we
We're
the
all going
idea?
to say it at once.
Okay, so we'll do it on the 0. Okay.
Okay.
Shut up, dog. Okay.
Shut up.
You don't get a vote.
3, 2,
2,
1,
1.
0. Hate.
Love.
Hate.
Oh, hate it is.
Yes.
Balls.
Take your gargoyles and shove them up your belfry.
Shove, yeah.
Now I know how Chris feels.